Hey, I'm Max and today I'll try to make a game in the shortest time possible. I'm going to use Unreal Engine 5 and start with a template, because without a template I couldn't do much in that time. Let me know if you want to see me try without a template next time. I decided to start with the first person shooter template. It starts with a basic map, a character, and a weapon you can pick up and shoot with. But there is no enemy, score, or anything that makes it a real game. Let's see how fast I can turn it into a playable game. The first thing I added was the enemy. I didn't have time to make a model, so I just used the default cube. I gave it HP and made it so when it is hit, it loses HP. When it runs out of HP, it is deleted. Pretty simple. Next, I made the enemy spawner. It is simply a box that spawns an enemy every second. Just like that, in around 5 minutes, we already had a kind of playable game. However, the enemies don't attack you and the player can defeat them just by running into them, because I forgot to make sure what hit the enemies was a projectile. So I did that, and I also added a smaller gold cube to have more than one enemy. Then I tried making the enemies run towards the player, but I had a bug and the time ran out for the 10-minute game. So here's my game after 10 minutes. There's two types of cubes that spawn every second. You can shoot at them to destroy them, and they try to move towards you but without success. And even if they touch you, they can't hurt you. So yeah, a game made in 10 minutes isn't very fun to play. Then I wanted to work on it for 50 more minutes to see what a game made in 1 hour would look like. The first thing I had to do was obviously to fix the enemies not moving towards the player. The fix was pretty easy, but it took me around 10 minutes to find. Basically, the static meshes of the enemies are simulated but not the whole actor, so the root of the actor doesn't move. When I calculated the trajectory to the player, I used the root of the enemy instead of the mesh, so this was very easy to fix. Then I added HP to the player and made it so when an enemy collides with you, you take damage. I also had to add a game over menu that lets you restart after you lose. Obviously, I also needed to add a display on the screen to show the HP to the player. Next, I wanted to add a little explosion after destroying a cube for the good feeling. Basic effects are pretty fast to make, and if you want to make it look better, you would have to spend a lot of time, so I only made basic ones. Then I moved on to the scoring system. Every enemy destroyed gives 1 score, and I displayed it on the top right of the screen. Next, I wanted to improve the rifle and give it settings such as fire rate, ammo, reload time, and other things like that. I did that, and I also added a faster weapon with more ammo and a faster shoot rate. Ideally, you would have to travel a larger map to go get it on the floor, but the template map is small and making a bigger map with more features would actually take so much time that I couldn't do even one decent map. So I just put the bigger gun a little further on the map, and I guess that's it for this game. And just like that, an hour of development had passed. I would argue this result would qualify as a game. You have enemies, you can defeat them, they can defeat you, there's a score system, there's multiple enemies and weapons. The main thing missing was different levels with different difficulties, so for my last hour I decided to work mainly on that. I added even more enemy types such as slow cubes with a lot of HP, a grass cube that can regenerate HP, and a sphere that can jump. Then I added a setting to the enemy spawner to spawn different types of enemies at different rates based on the map. I also made 6 levels that each spawn more enemies faster to make it more difficult. I also slightly changed the map for each level by moving things around and adding some cubes, but once again, no custom models and nothing big because levels take a long time to do. Just doing one unique level would have taken me more than 2 hours, probably. At this point, the game was missing a lot of things like more unique maps for each level, custom enemy models, more weapon with custom models, more effects, but all of these would have taken way too long, so instead I simply added power-ups that spawn in the map. I added a glass bubble that gives you 5 HP back when you go on it, and a metal ball that makes you immune to damage for 10 seconds. I feel like the power-ups look way too much like the enemies, so ideally I would change the model, but I don't have time. I just barely managed to finish the power-up in the 2-hour window. This gives a chance to the player to recover after losing some HP or falling behind with the immune, so I think it's a great finishing touch. In conclusion, after 10 minutes the game was not even playable. After 1 hour it was playable, but only with a few default engine models and one very basic level. After 2 hours, there were a few basic levels and a few basic enemies, and also 2 power-ups. I think to add custom models and a few interesting levels, it would take easily 20 more hours. You can see even a really simple game idea can take a long time to make. Without the template, in 2 hours, I probably would not even have had what I had after 10 minutes. So now you can probably understand why a lot of game devs spend years, like 3 to 5 years on their games before releasing them. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe.